Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dimitri Johnson, and you're listening to MMALatestNews.com.
It's time to roll, baby.
Good afternoon, people. Welcome to the preview show. Now, Saturday night, it's the fight for the ages, fight of the decade, Mano versus Mano, the biggest event in 10 years, the biggest event in fighting history.
We're going overboard, Adrian.
This is the biggest event. We're looking forward to it. It's Felder versus Hooker.
Yeah, it's a massive one, but I'll be honest, there's a slightly smaller fight that's caged my interest, and that's Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. It's the rematch, and I couldn't be more nervous. I absolutely adore Tyson Fury.
Can't wait.
My favourite boxer, probably of all time. Absolutely love the Gypsy King. But he's got a very, very tough ass this weekend. Tyson Fury is an absolute master craftsman, but he's walking through a minefield. Deontay Wilder, for me, the biggest puncher in heavyweight boxing history. Tyson Fury needs to be perfect for 36 minutes. Deontay Wilder needs to be perfect for 1 second. Anything could happen. Mitch, I'm going to come to you first. How do you feel about this one?
Before I do get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Of course, let's get to 10k subscribers. But I'm coming to this as a bit of a casual. I saw Wilder Theory 1, and, you know, Theory probably deserved to get a decision. All but two.
Probably. He deserved that. He won every single round.
Most definitely deserved to get the decision. Let me rephrase that. But all but for 2 knockdowns, which was incredible. Now, I feel like there's been a little bit too much time gone between the 2 fights. I thought they should have thought, probably not immediately, but I think Theory's thought twice, has he? 3 times before?
Deontay Wilder and Tyson have both had 2 fights.
And Wilder obviously thought Ortiz. Now, that was a better fight in terms of interest. It was a rematch. Ortiz was winning, he won 10 rounds before in the first fight, got cleaned out. He was winning all six rounds, was it? 7 rounds?
Yeah, well, they've boxed 18 rounds in total now, Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz. Wilder's won 3 rounds.
Yeah, and he's knocked him out twice.
Power that he's got.
So
imagine winning 15 rounds and losing 2 fights.
That does scare me on the Tyson Fury standpoint, how Wilder can lose so many rounds and still get wins. He's got 40 KOs, I believe, on his record of 42 wins. Fury's...
He's rendered every single man unconscious
other than
bar
Fury.
the Gypsy King. Now, let me tell you about your point about, you said they should have fought straight after the first fight. Now, I mentioned this last week. People have amnesia when it comes to the first fight. It was boring. Do you take round 12 out?
But it was such a big event that it sort of needed a quick turnaround.
It was a big event, but let me tell you something. If you're dissecting the fight, Wilder just looked bamboozled.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't grasp the Tyson's foot movement, the angles. He just looked at him like, how do I program this?
Let's say Conor McGregor, to bring it back to him, Nate Diaz 1 happened. He loses that fight, and they have 3 fights between them, and then they come back. No one cares about that second fight as much.
Different. This is showbiz, baby. This is showbiz, baby. Mitchie, this is showbiz. Let me tell you something, James. When you need to
I'll let you tell me something.
Talk. Don't talk. So basically,
it's scary.
In the boxing business, you have to let things marinate.
Yeah.
It depends on the fight. You can't compare McGregor and Diaz because that was a thrilling fight. So, yes, you can do that straight away. Fury and Wilder was fucking boring till the knockout. Now, you've got to realise the fight's been marinated because Wilder's had those 2 knockouts. Now it's even more exciting.
Fury's not been impressive, though.
He's not been. That's what I mean.
His stock's almost come down a little bit.
So now
we've
you're looking forward.
We've got to get onto those 2 fights. But you say the fight was boring, and maybe if you watch it,
didn't feel boring at the time.
At the time, it didn't. It was absolutely captivating.
It was captivating
because you know that every single one of those shots. If you watch it back now, those shots that Wilder throwing are missing by a mile. But in the moment, you know how hard he hits.
I disagree.
Everyone's like an inch away. And
you know what?
Any one of these.
I did watch the fight on the night, and
down. Fury was brilliant.
I disagree.
You can always tell what a good fight is because you get those little goosebumps, those little shivers, and you get a little nervous. Every punch is thrown.
I was nervous.
I felt it for Adesanya. I felt it for McGregor. I think I was just nerves of watching my first UFC event. I've seen it. Yeah, Mayweather McGregor. I got a little bit nervous just because I didn't know what was happening.
Mayweather McGregor was. I was the least nervous. It was the most foregone conclusion.
It was more probably more excitement nerves than like anxiety nerves. It's probably like, okay, this is going to be a show. What's going to happen here?
I think it went exactly how it was always expected to go.
Maybe
Floyd was always going to toy.
I don't watch boxing too much. I watch AJ. I watch Tyson Fury. Yeah. I don't exactly delve into the sport of boxing as much.
But let me just tell you, I think I
completely
disagree with you, James, when you say the fight was captivating. You're looking at it now from that 12th round. But I remember watching that fight, and yes, the 12th round was the greatest.
It was the same as Klitschko and Fury, weren't it?
Yeah, it was boring. I remember thinking, this is exactly what I thought. Fury is just bamboozling him. And it was boring up until round 9 he got knocked out. and round 12. It was not captivating in the slightest. Now, for the rematch, my prediction, and I'm going to put this on camera, I believe I'm the best in the game at boxing predictions.
Oh, that's...
I believe I'm the best in the game.
Clip that.
I believe
if Tyson Fury gets beat now, I'm blaming it on you.
No, I believe you watch. This is on camera. I'm telling you now, Fury schools him for every minute of every second of every round. Now, it wouldn't surprise me that Fury's gone to Sugar Hill in the Cronk gym.
Yeah, he's a new trainer. Has they got a good
Hill.
record? Have they? I don't
The
know.
nephew of Emmanuel Stewart,
Yeah.
who is probably the greatest trainer of all time.
Yeah,
Coincidentally,
I'm not too
in an interview a
knowledgeable on
few
their
years
trainers.
ago, when you had the likes of David Price, Robert Helenius, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder coming through, there was all these heavyweights with hype. He said, "Trust me, Tyson Fury,
Fury's the
Deontay
one."
Wilder are
predicted
the
it.
two that are going to make it."
And they're
Well,
two
he
at the
was
top, other than probably AJ. I reckon AJ's probably in third at the moment. You reckon?
I'd say AJ's
but
in third.
let me just go
Got
back.
Usyk in at fourth.
The reason why it's gone to Sugar Hill is
Andy Ruiz is getting big man.
the reason why
I
he
think
switched.
those big four are above Ruiz. But I'm correct.
Go on, who's above Ruiz?
Alexander Usyk, I think, is a better fighter than
Yeah,
Andy
he's,
Ruiz.
right. So the reason he's gone to Sugar Hill is basically to plant his feet. So when he was fighting against Wilder the first time, he was sort of irky-jerky, slipping a lot of punches, keeping him off with a jab. And he couldn't commit. When he threw his right hand, he got Wilder in all sorts of trouble. Even in the 12th round, after basically being declared dead, he rose up and threw a couple of right hands and blocked Wilder. He won at the end of the round.
Do you think that come back to haunt him though if he's planted his feet?
No, the reason why
Because that
Well, if he gets-
right hand.
if he gets
no,
cla-
the reason why you plant your feet, so he'll bust him up for 7-8 rounds. Then when, like sort of what Klitschko made a career out of it. Then when it gets to 7-8 rounds, Fury would have the stamina and this to commit to his shots. And I
Wilder
believe he
didn't look
stopped
tired
Wilder.
in that 9th and 12th round when
He only got
dropped
tired
him.
in like
Fury
the 12th.
was tired. You've got to realise Fury.
It was his first fight in 3 years, yeah.
He should not.
Or 2-3 years.
Fury said it as well. Fury's dad said it. Who I fucking love, Gypsy John Fury. Shout out to him. I just love
I tell you
watching him.
what, have you seen the documentary on Tyson Fury on ITV? It's brilliant. John Fury came out with one of the greatest
John
quotes
Fury. He's
of
a
all time.
fucking animal.
He was talking about an incident that led to John Fury serving a prison sentence, and he said something like, "Look, I don't think it was too big a deal. It was just a disagreement between travelling folk." He gouged a man's eye out.
yeah,
Is that the way he's
exactly.
going to describe it?
Yeah,
That's just a disagreement. That's what happens when you have a disagreement.
No, it
It's
is.
fine.
It was mine. Really.
Now,
I took the other eye out.
Yeah, exactly.
where
There's
I
only one of them.
where I
Only one.
work, after I think it was before he thought the German guy, I don't know his
Schwartz.
name, Tom Schwartz, that he did a tour around the UK at the AJ Bell where I work, and he's a fantastic character, a fantastic gentleman. He's much taller than he looks on camera, although
6'9", Mitch.
has an outrageous taste in suits. I'd give him that. He came in some sort of yellow.
He's the
suit.
best talker. For me, you have
AJ's quite boring and safe, although he's coming out when he got knocked out. He came out a bit more energetic.
But you have different in life.
Wilder's a bit.
In fighting.
He wants a body on his record, sort of thing.
But that's all bullshit. But
Yeah.
in life, you have certain sports characters that fucking captivate you. They only come along once in a lifetime. You have Muhammad Ali. Tyson Fury's in that bracket. For me, take away the political aspect, he is the best technical heavyweight fighter I've ever seen lace up a pair of gloves. With his movement, 19-20 stone, the angles he creates, the speed. I remember in the 12th round, I watched it back. So, like I say, he got knocked down, he got up, throws a couple of right hands. He backs Wilder up with 30 seconds to go. He lands a 4-punch combination, which a light featherweight would throw. His speed is unbelievable. And you also have Conor McGregor as these lifetime characters. You don't see him every so often. Hence, why you say once in a lifetime. And I believe Fury, and I'm glad he's getting the love because when he talks, I even think he gives Conor McGregor a match. He's talking.
I actually prefer his
love
trash
him.
talk to Conor
I
McGregor.
love his talk.
I want to go back to Wilder quickly. Obviously, you say you weren't overly captivated by that fight, and if Wilder didn't carry the power he did, I wouldn't have been captivated either
No.
because it just would have been
it's go on.
just would have been an absolute schooling. But because he does carry that power, you are on edge for 36 minutes. And going into that 12th round, even though he's missed with so many shots, you know that he just needs one to catch
got
Tyson
up.
Fury.
He got up.
He just got to hold
But
on for
it's the
3
same
minutes.
in every single Deontay Wilder fight. He was 4 rounds down against Gerald Washington, bang, right hand. He was down against Ortiz in both fights, bang, he finds it. He was down against Otter Spilka, he finds it. He always finds
But
it.
look at the opponents you just named. Just name me those 4 opponents against Spilka,
And
Washington.
Spilka's not like that. Washington's not
Right.
like that. Ortiz is a good fighter.
Right.
Fury's obviously
Now
a
he's
very good
fighting
fighter.
a prime Tyson Fury.
I don't
I don't think he's in his
He is.
prime.
He's a prime. I'm
His
telling
prime-
you.
I don't think
He
we'll
admits
ever
he's-
see a prime
I'm
Tyson
telling
Fury.
you, the way he fought the last fight, I could not. I've got to be honest with you. even though I predicted him to win, there was things in my head saying, this is way too long. You can't come out of putting 10 stone on him, fighting.
He admits himself, though, that Klitschko was
he beat him
was
at
the peak of his career.
He beat
and it
him
was his
40%.
best. It's been his best performance, probably still to his
The
career.
Klitschko fight is the best performance of Fury's career by a countryman.
And
He was absolutely
he
flawless
says that's
in
the
that
peak of
fight.
his career, because since then he didn't know what he wanted to do after becoming a world champion. He said he's going to have those issues once he becomes world champion. You've heard the sauna story plenty of times, how he was training with him and he's gone through the sauna with him and come out the other side of it, and that was his first mental game.
Yeah, I remember.
Although he struggled with mental health, mentally is as strong a human being as you will find.
He said that. He said the only thing that got him through that fight, the first Wilder fight, was just
Pure
mental fucking toughness. Because he shouldn't. You've got to realise he had no stamina. He had no fitness. He shouldn't have been in the ring. And this is why I don't understand why people are saying Wilder's going to win. You forget how he even was competitive in that fight. And John Fury said if it was any decent heavyweight, they would have knocked his son out in 2 rounds. So the fact that he took Wilder life and death and clearly won every round, even the ones he got knocked down in, takes me to this fight. And I believe that it's going to be a crap fight. I want it. I will be captivated.
I hope it's terrible. I hope it is absolutely awful. Yeah. And Fury just stinks the place out and wins a decision.
Just keeps him at arm's length.
Keeps him at arm's, and it wouldn't surprise me if he drops that right hand in the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th to really solidify it, because he knows he got a bad decision. He might not let it go to the scorecards. He's not gonna. He's been saying Fury that he's gonna go in the middle and fucking go toe to toe. That's not gonna happen. That's just talk.
What's the reach like on the guys? Sorry to
both absolutely massive.
He's got a longer reach.
Wilder has like octopus arms. He has long arms.
You can compare him almost to John Jones. He's got that stature, and he's only 214, I believe. He came in at the last one.
That's the difference. This is what people are sleeping on. Wilder is really a cruiserweight. He's
with a heavyweight right hand.
Stone, 50. Yeah, that's why his power is just ridiculous. It still translates to the division. But Wilder is not a big person, so you're coming up against a bigger man. There's levels. They always say in boxing, a big gun man will always A great big man will always be a good little man. Thank you, James. That's what I was saying.
More than welcome for the sayings to come out. But I want to talk about the two journeys that both men have had to this point, because Wilder's in itself is quite underrated. But let's do Fury first. Against all the odds, he beats Vladimir Klitschko, given no chance whatsoever. Should be on top of the world, but instead he spirals into a deep, dark depression. He has bipolar disorder. He puts on 10 stone, alcohol issues, mental health issues, cocaine addiction. He's massively struggling. And then, even to come back, just to be a normal person again, to be happy again, would have been an achievement. But he somehow manages to get back in the boxing ring. He takes on two, let's face it, useless opponents. Safari was useless. Pianetta was far past.
The only thing we learned was that he's a great singer.
Yeah, fantastic.
American Pie
rendition
rendition.
of The Ghetto is fantastic. His rendition of I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, flawless. He's fantastic on Robbie Williams' Christmas album, The Man's Got Talent.
Is that number one, is it?
Yeah, I don't think it made to number one, but Bad Sharon was the anthem of my 2019 Christmas. But either way, he's inspired so many people. If anybody's struggling with mental health, look at Tyson Fury.
He's got a great story, and
you can do it.
Has anyone got his book yet? Because he came out with his book.
I've not, but
I do want to get it.
I'm trying to finish it before.
It's him and Bisping are the two buys that I want to get next.
I've got Bisping's not ready
Is it good?
Yet.
Oh,
Fury's. I will read Bisping's.
Yeah.
Fury's I wanted to read before this fight. I'm about 200 pages into about a 300-page book. Deontay Wilder's journey, let's talk about that, because this guy was not even a boxer. He was a basketball player
off the streets, didn't he?
At 18 years old.
Yeah.
Takes
Family
up
of
boxing.
Six?
Big family.
Has
a daughter with
spina bifida.
Yeah, spina bifida. He's working in a restaurant, can barely fun to look after, so just takes up boxing, and then finds that he's got this freakish power. And we know technically Wilder is useless. Somehow he makes it to the Olympics, picks up a bronze medal.
Bronze bomber.
How on earth?
He's the worst technical fighter. He's the worst technical fighter I've ever seen.
He's got 40 knockouts out of 42 fights.
Technically worse.
That's ridiculous.
When you're showing a fighter how to box, you show him Deontay Wilder's videos. You say, "Don't box like this, man.
Just
get
that power. Get that power somehow."
Wild. Doesn't do anything correctly. But he has this fucking power that puts people to sleep with, and it's not just like to sleep. It's like basically you're in a coma for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. They don't know what's hit him, and it's scary because he's 16 stone and he's laying out 21 stone men like that.
Yeah.
And for me, I've never seen power.
I remember. Obviously, I'm an MMA guy, and I remember watching the Dominic Brazil fight. I can't remember what UFC card that was, and it was literally just finished in time for their ring announcements. Yeah. And I tuned in. I got the first minute of it, and that was all it took for Deontay Wilder. I remember hearing that slap. That slap with the power. It was a right hand, and he dropped him, and it was game over immediately.
Well, let's talk about those two performances, Mitch. because they both had 2 fights since.
Yeah.
Firstly, you remember that Dominic Breazeale fight. It was a weird spell, actually, because Wilder fought Breazeale, Joshua fought Ruiz, and Fury fought Schwartz in the space of about a month.
And I think I didn't see Schwartz fight. I saw Ortiz. We watched that on the 24-hour podcast with Stephen Howson. And that was such a mesmerising fight.
Which fight was that?
Ortiz 2 with Wilder.
So
I've seen Wilder's 2 fights since.
That Breazeale fight. Breazeale, for me, is useless.
Yeah.
I've never felt he was a good fighter. Eddie Hearn always mentions it like it's a really good win on Joshua.
Eddie Hearn has to do
for
what
me,
Eddie Hearn
Breazeale's
does.
not a top 20 heavyweight.
No, but
Eddie Hearn
you
sold
get
us
the
KSI
context.
Logan Paul and Jake Paul and Anderson Gibb.
What?
Eddie Hearn, that's what his work done.
What do you mean?
He sold us KSI Logan Paul and
Eddie Hearn's the best
Anderson
boxing
Gibb.
promoter that's ever lived. But
He's a great guy. I want to get
disagree-
him on.
I don't like the whole YouTube thing. I agree with you, Mitch.
Hey, we've got one more now, apparently.
I don't want to see
Allegedly.
it. But you're going on. But you got to realise the context when Joshua fought Wilder. This was Eddie Hearn's
Breazeale, rather.
Brazil. Sorry,
That fight's
Joshua.
coming. That fight's
Joshua
coming.
against Brazil was at a time where I think he had like 12 fights, 13 fights, and he was fighting them. Wilder's fighting Brazil when he's been champion for 6 years.
Yeah.
There's a difference. There's a reason why Wilder has been so protected.
Well,
He's
you
the
got-
most protected heavyweight fighter I've ever seen. Look, you take Fury and Ortiz out of that record.
There's nobody.
You name another fighter.
He was-
It's David Smith on the street.
He was meant to fight Povetkin, obviously, but that was a mandatory fight.
Yeah, it got pulled.
Is he fighting Joshua next, or is it Povetkin?
He's fighting. Povetkin's fighting.
Dylan White probably at the Manchester.
White, I
Yeah.
believe.
But I mean, he lost his last fight to
Yeah, he's
Michael
fighting
Hunter,
because Joshua's
but-
got a mandatory as well,
Joshua's
hasn't he?
fighting
Joshua's
Kubrat
fighting
Pulev.
Yeah, that's it,
By the way, going back to Breazeale, I don't particularly rate at all. I think there's 20
Yeah.
other heavyweights that beat him. But either way, still a startling knockout, and he shows off the power.
Yes.
He'll move on to Luis Ortiz, and again, he loses every single round to Ortiz and finds the right hand. But what was interesting is that he wasn't as right hand happy as he usually is. He's usually launched in that right hand.
He just found it a little.
He was calm in the Luis
Calm.
Ortiz fight, and that's something that I'm worried about.
Do you reckon the
for this
first fight,
weekend.
played a big part in that because he knew he could get him? It's just a matter of when, and he
Yeah,
did
absolutely.
it 4 rounds earlier.
Yeah.
5 rounds
in
earlier.
The Fury fight, Fury obviously massively got in his head in the
Yeah.
press conferences. Wilder's done everything he can.
Yeah,
to
their press
avoid
conferences.
Tyson Fury
I've
for
not
the
seen any of their press
this time round.
conferences. It looks a bit weird. Big, massive armchairs. I've seen.
Yeah.
I've not actually
And I
seen
mean,
any of it though.
They cut off Fury's mic so he couldn't speak. They've done everything to stop.
That's
Fury's
McGregor
mental
Mayweather
warfare.
tactic. That was.
But either way,
Espinosa.
Wilder's going to be a lot calmer this time around. I don't think he's going to expend as much
No.
energy. But let's look at the 2 fights that Fury had. First one, Tom Schwartz. Schwartz is useless.
I don't remember them, to be honest.
He'd be pressed to win a British title,
Yeah.
and that's the truth. I mean, the 2 lads compete for the British title now. They're above British level. Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce. Obviously, they both cleaned him up. Before that, Hughie Fury, he'd have beat Thomas
Yeah.
Schwartz. I mean, he'd have beat Sam Sexton for the
But
British
you're
title.
getting
But
the
again,
context wrong, James. You got to realise when these fights that he's taking was on the premise of the Wilder rematch. The rematch had been
Yeah,
signed.
he just signed that
they're not
ESPN
gonna fight
contract, didn't
killers.
he?
It was just to get the ring bust off. That's why he fought those 2 fights. So you can't really say, "Oh, we fought."
No,
we fought this.
but at the same
It doesn't
time,
tell you anything.
Brazil and Ortiz knockouts had brought Wilder stock up, whereas Fury's not had exciting fights.
No, but he's got the ring
he's had
dust
2
off.
extremely exciting
Ruiz
fights.
had this is probably a bit outlandish. Ruiz's stock sort of went a little higher than Fury's when he knocked out Joshua. Not in terms of like star power, but everyone was like, "Oh, who's this new guy?" And then obviously that diminished pretty
Schwartz
quickly.
fights-
Fury's
Schwartz is useless, so
Yeah.
we can't.
it's like
Fury's performance looked impressive on the surface, but we can't
Yeah.
read anything into it because
Yeah.
Schwartz
Like,
is
Jo-
terrible.
But it's hard to get up for. When you're Fury,
No,
and
Schwartz, he was good in the Schwartz fight.
yeah, and sorry, the Wallen fight. When
Yeah, we'll
you're-
get onto the talk about the Wallen fight.
when you're fighting these fighters, you've got to realise when you know that you've got a rematch in the horizon, and you know this is basically just a warm-up fight. It's hard to get up for those fights mentally. So you can't, even if you think Tyson didn't perform well against Wallen, that has no bearing into this Wilder rematch. And I actually think you give Wilder too much credit. When you say against Ortiz he was a lot calmer, it wasn't a lot calmer. He knew that if he was going to launch in, he was going to get counterpunched. And now I don't think he actually meant to be calmer. I just thought he was that bamboozled, because he has a look at him when he fights good fighters. You see him looking. He's got his right hand. He's like, what should I do? What should I do? And against Ortiz, he knew he was getting picked off. So it wasn't a tactic to go, I'll just wait and launch him. He didn't. He froze, but his power gets him out of it. Against Fury, he's going to froze. When he sees the angles, he's not going to get anywhere near him. He's just going to follow him round the ring, and Fury's going to bamboozle him, bust him up with a jab, and then lay the right hand on, and he's going to comprehensively beat him. I promise you, this is my prediction, which I never ever get wrong.
we're waking up. Sunday morning. We're going to see Tyson Fury splat on the
blow up.
canvas.
We need to
aren't
talk about some of the
But-
issues surrounding that Otto Wallen fight. Otto Wallen was virtually unknown. I obviously knew who he was because I'm a boxing fan, but he hadn't fought anybody particularly of note. I think he was slightly better than everybody expected him to be. He was definitely a level or two above Schwartz. He's actually fighting Lucas Brown, interestingly enough, next time Otto Wallen. A prime Lucas Brown when he beat Ruslan Shagiev, that would have been a good fight, but now I think Otto Wallen probably beats Lucas Brown up quite badly. And I like Lucas Brown, so it's a bit of a shame.
The bouncer.
The big Australian bouncer who had his own story against Ruslan Shagiev.
But he got done for drugs, didn't he?
He did, but obviously that went to court. There was a lot of issues with the Russians potentially taking him. It's an interesting story, which it takes like an hour to talk about itself.
I disagree because when you actually watch that fight, his energy levels, Lucas Brown plods forward. He's got fucking power.
You are right.
But that fight, he was like a lightweight, just busy. I was thinking, fucking hell, is he trained? And he looked thin. And for me, it was a bit questionable with the way he looked.
Either way, though, you could well be right because clenbuterol does help with the cutting of weight and energy levels. I'd like to think. I mean, I know he passed a lie detector to test Lucas Brown, which is interesting enough.
Whose authority is that under? A lie detector?
Well, Jeremy Kyle, I think. But either way, Tyson Fury, Otto Wallen. A few of the issues in that fight. Tyson. Hopefully, it was just a case of him simply not being up for it, or being flat, or coming in a bit too light.
Was he a bit too complacent?
He was complacent. He looked slow. He looked sloppy.
Was
he had
that
his
the fight he
feet
got big
square a lot
Was that
of
the fight he
time.
got a big cut in?
Yeah.
On both eyes.
His timing just looked off.
But the cut
was horrific. But the cut came in the fourth round, and he looked poor in the first three.
Jesus.
He never got up for it. I think basically he signed a deal with ESPN.
Yeah.
Where
5
he's
fights
got-
on it.
Which is good for potentially going into a decision
He
this
had to
time
fight.
round.
He had to get this fight but he had to fight someone just to get his name because he's got a 8-fight deal. So you're not going to fight 8 killers. So the Wilder fight was always there. So yes, he wasn't.
Well, that was announced before the Wallen fight, weren't it? For a rematch.
It was
Basically,
agreed.
it was done.
So I can't. I'm not even looking. I'm not even looking at that fight to suggest that it would play into this fight. I only have to see the first fight, and for me, like I've said before, he absolutely scored him. He won every second of every round. The power will make it captivating because for me, lightning doesn't. There's a reason lightning doesn't strike twice.
He struck twice on that night.
No, I don't believe it'll happen again. I don't believe Wilder has got the ability to catch a fit Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury wasn't fit last time. He was training to lose weight. He wasn't training to fight. Now he's gone to... There's been a debate with Ben Davis, and I actually like Ben Davis.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Ben Davis did a wonderful job with
Fucking
Tyson.
great job, and he gets a bit of bad credit because he has that style. He got Fury that style, and he's going to a man who's going to give him a different style. So that could.
How long has he been with this
cause,
coach?
Literally
This
2
first
weeks.
fight.
So
not a long
do you
time
reckon he's had enough time to switch those styles?
It's not ideal. It's not
in bed?
ideal. No, you don't switch coaches a month before 2 months before.
Yeah, I don't think.
He's trained with him before, about 10 years ago, but even still,
I don't think things are lining up well for Tyson Fury at the moment.
There's rumours about a leg injury, which is ideal, especially when you're using.
He's not had 2 great fights. He had a big cut, so whether that opens up again, I don't know how well that's healed.
Look, I'm saying he's going to absolutely win. But factors can happen. He could get cut.
Yeah,
he could get stumbled.
Wilder's had very clear 2 knockout wins despite his opponents. And, if you're going to... I know you can't do this evidence, but he looked better in the rematch against Ortiz. He's probably going to look a lot better. I don't know how well he downloads people's sort of their styles and how they fight. But I think Wilder... I wouldn't want to say cause an upset. I'm just looking at the odds here.
I think Fury's only a very narrow favourite.
He's at evens.
But looking back at the Otto Wallen fight as well, obviously that cut was harrowing, and it caused him a great deal of issues. He's very lucky that he wasn't stopped in that fight.
Yeah,
he wasn't a superstar.
That would have been stopped in Brooklyn.
If it had been Otto Wallen, the fight's over.
Yeah, where was it?
It was in Vegas.
Yeah,
but
so
going back to that fight,
commission.
Fury did get rocked in the 12th round. He's been through so many... People think of Fury as this... dynamic fighter that never gets touched. But in his early career, he's been through loads of wars. Nevin Pikic dropped him. Steve Cunningham dropped him. He went through 2 wars with John McDermott. Nicholas Further
He lost
hurt.
the McDermott fight.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, Nicholas Further hurt him. And he does all this thing like putting on all the weight and going through all these wars. How long is it going to take? Because the fact that he's still unbeaten now is ridiculous when you look at his career path and the amount of weight he's put on and the amount of wars he's been in. When is Father Time going to catch up with Tyson?
It might do. It might. This might be, we were talking on a separate video about John Jones being caught up. He's been through some wars. There's only so much the body can take, and he's already, he got knocked down twice heavy in that fight. He's had a big cut. He's not looked great. I mean, he's looked good for Tyson Fury because he's not had that, the level of opponent isn't the same. Be interesting to see what he does against a Wilder and an AJ, where he stands. I think he dismantles Ruiz probably quite easily because there's a big size difference. That would be an interesting fight.
What, Fury and...
Yeah,
Well,
Ruiz.
stylistically, you see what Joshua just did to Ruiz.
Yeah.
Fury does that 10 times better.
Yeah, so I think, it's hard. I don't want to pick against Fury, but somebody's just saying that Wilder 6th or 7th round, we might see a knockdown there.
Right, I want to... everyone drop some comments as well. Who do you think's going to win? Fury, Wilder. I want a prediction, one word. Wilder, Fury.
Wilder 7th round knockout.
James?
I know you've asked for one word. I'm going to explain myself, though.
That's already 4.
The way I envisage the fight going is what I'm seeing happening is a Wilder knockout, and that is horrible. But Tyson Fury is my man.
Yeah.
I am hoping and praying that this special fighter, this once-in-a-generation talent, just proves us all wrong again and finds some sort of way. Emotionally, I can't pick against him. I'm going to say Tyson Fury finds a way. And I'm hoping and praying he does.
Do you think it sort of reminds me back to Klitschko AJ? Now, do you think AJ, if you had to say who had a better fight, AJ or Fury against Klitschko?
That doesn't matter.
The more entertaining fight was AJ, but Fury was far more
But
impressive.
the fact that AJ got knocked down, got back up, knocked him out, I think that's a big... No, it's not a big tell to Titan, but... And AJ's only 20 fights in. Fury and Wilder are in their 30s and 40 fights. So I think... I have to go with Wilder, which I don't want to because I want to back the English guy.
So you're going Wilder.
I'm
Wilder
going
knockout.
No, you said Wilder.
I said I refuse to pick.
He's going for another.
So you're going for Fury.
He's going for a draw. He wants a trilogy fight. Book it in
I
now.
said that I'm hoping and praying this special talent finds a way. So I'm going Fury.
On points, okay.
Fury on points, but then again, points is so hard because
he only gets knocked down once
to get the decision against Wilder.
You only have to get knocked down once or twice.
Let's face it, Wilder was
to be all over again.
Somehow, Wilder was up in the first Ortiz fight on points.
Right, so you're going Fury points.
I'm going Fury points.
Right,
yeah.
Wilder, Fury. I'm absolutely 100% convinced. You can click this next week. Fury on points or late stoppage. Like I say, put some comments in Wilder, Fury. Let us know who's going to win. Now I want to discuss the mega fight that is Felder and
the stuff that really matters.
That really matters.
New Zealand, let's go. Dan the Hangman Hooker, I love him. Paul, what is it? The Irish something, whatever, Felder.
Dragon.
The Irish Dragon Felder. I think it's a really good style.
It's nice to have the card that starts at 9 p.m. GMT.
Yeah, what time's the main going to be?
I think it's midnight. They say on the
Is that
website.
English time?
Yeah.
Is it?
See, if you watch boxing in Australia, I used to love watching Joseph Parker fights because they'd be on at lunchtime.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because
the UFC
there's 12 hours ahead of us, aren't they?
The UFC put them on a Sunday in Australia, so I've still got the note.
So, where did Ben Askren and Damian Maia fight? Was it
Singapore?
And that was at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
which was fun. Well, it's kind of a bit too early because you were sort of. I got up at maybe 10. I was like, do I really want to be watching fights right now? I need a little bit of a day.
Yeah, I remember. I was at a 21st actually in Manchester. I went back home to Preston to watch the Ben Askren and Damian Maia fight. And as I've said in other episodes, I'm a big Damian Maia fan. I like Damian Maia. I'm a huge Ben Askren fan. I came home. I barely slept. I just wanted to see Ben Askren win, then boom, choked out. I was like, I can't be arsed with MMA anymore.
So tell me the setup for Saturday night. I want to know, first of all, from you, James, I want to know exactly what you're going to do with the with the UFC. Are you going to sit down and have a few drinks? Are you going to order a takeaway? Where are you watching and where are you going to watch the Fury fight? I want to know yours.
Fury. I mean, I'm absolutely going to have to stay in. I'm not risking going on a night out and something happening and me not getting there. So it's going to be eyes in, glued to the TV. Probably a takeaway. You know what? I can mix it up with anything. I'll have an Indian, I'll have a Chinese, I'll have a pizza.
What are you going to have though for this? Is it a
Chinese and Indian on the pizza?
I mean, I might get a chicken tikka masala red, the size of blood. Tyson Fury draws it from Deontay Wilder. But I'll tell you what, though. If Tyson Fury loses this weekend, I am done with combat sports. I just can't be arsed anymore. Too much heartbreak.
It can't be ready yet. We've got Israel Adesanya and Romero. We've got Khabib and Tony.
No, I'm dropping out of MMA later. I'm done, Mitch.
Mitch, tell me your Saturday night plan.
Well, I'll be working Saturday afternoon, which I just realised is going to be a night because I'm working Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and I've got to get ready for UFC and Fury Wilder.
Are you both going to stay up?
Yeah,
I'm staying up through the night.
I think so. It depends on if I fall asleep during the UFC, but I think that starts at 9, so it should finish about 3, half 3, which gives us about an hour probably until the walkouts, which is slightly irritating.
Yeah. But no wonder the undercards, I'm not even...
No one cares about undercards in boxing.
The undercard in boxing, what we've got Emmanuel Navarrete, defending his world title, who's relatively impressive. And then a ridiculous eliminator for the IBF heavyweight title.
This might get me in a lot of heat.
And Charles Martin, neither of which are anywhere near heavyweight level. They're not top 30, those two men.
This might get me a lot of heat, but probably the best undercard was KSI Logan Paul because he had 3 world champion boxers.
Stop taking the piss. It was terrible. Devin Haney fought nobody. Billy Joe fought nobody.
But that's how an undercard should be built.
No,
What, with Billy
no.
Joe fighting nobody?
Yeah,
Just having
Billy
two
Joe's
or three
fighting,
champion nights.
Yes,
Maybe.
I've heard it's
May
95%
2nd,
done.
that's going to be some fight.
But-
For me, Saunders beats Canelo as well.
Well, at middleweight, I'd go with Saunders. I think he looks a bit sloppy at super middle.
But going back to Felder,
KSI
Yeah,
beats
we
them
need
both.
to. Yeah,
What?
Felder.
I like fucking watching. I like Felder. I like his style. I like his fight. I'd love to see him
He's
fight
had a couple
Conor.
injuries,
I really
hasn't he?
would.
Which has held him back, and he almost become like a.
Tough.
Is he just a broadcast now? He's almost had that Dominic Cruz
He's
syndrome.
got that profile now,
Yeah.
though.
Whereas if Dominic Cruz retired, he's not.
But
But
he's had injuries.
Yeah, he's had
Dominic's
those injuries.
Cruz, he had the most
He's coming back
horrendous
this year.
injuries.
He's coming back
I
this
mean,
year.
Dan Hooker beat Alaya Quinta last
Yep.
time out.
That
didn't
was
he?
that was very, very impressive. That.
Yeah,
I
and
mean.
Felder beat Barboza. They both deserved a huge
Felder
fight.
beat
I'm glad-
Barboza pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah,
UFC 242, wasn't it?
I'm
Barboza's
glad
a
they've
good
got
fighter.
each other. And hopefully the winner's closing in on a world
I think
title.
it'll be a war.
I think the next one
it'll
gets.
be a
I think the
war.
next one gets Dustin Poirier because Dustin Poirier is slightly out of the picture at the moment.
Poirier, you look, he thinks I'm a bigger star. I could probably hang around.
He's
with
just
something
had a
else.
title fight, so he's probably not looking at that yet. Gaethje and probably McGregor.
Let me tell
Is
you
probably
something.
there.
What about this? Picture the scene. Felder wins impressively. McGregor and Felder in Ireland.
I'd love that. I actually
I'd
suggested
fucking
that.
love
UFC Dublin would be class.
I'm in for that.
But-
Croke Park.
I'm in. I 100% believe that McGregor's
I
no
think-
way won't fight in Dublin. He's too big unless it's a stadium. It's too big. In
No, I
America.
think
But
I think he still has that dream. If
I
it's
don't think
if
he
it's
does
Croke
it.
Park, he's there. If it's the free arena, he can't be there because one, it sells out in about
10 seconds.
minus 45 seconds.
Well, it's all gone to ticket outs.
Yeah, ticket outs like UFC London did. But
Well, like every single UFC card.
yeah, it's ridiculous. That's a topic that needs to be discussed. But I think Croke Park, I think it's 80,000, is it? 80, 90,000?
It's not that big, Croke Park.
where's the
It's
UFC?
quite big.
Is it
where-
90? Google it, Mitch. But it's a big.
it'll be
I don't think it's
70,000.
90,000.
Is that the free
Where,
arena?
where's the U? Is three
Arena, so it's not happening.
for me, McGregor's not going to fight, but I would fucking love to see McGregor and Felder
In
in
Ireland.
Ireland. Could you imagine the atmosphere?
It'd be
James?
absolutely
Tell me.
incredible. I mean, they
Talk to me.
take over Vegas. It'd be incredible to have it in Ireland. I mean, I think it was Mick Conlon who not too long ago fought a stadium in Ireland.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was incredible. And he was
The
fighting
Irish
nobody.
fans, are the best in the
82,000.
world.
Carl Frampton.
82,000
Windsor
crazy.
Park.
Is-
80, oh, so you're right.
So
Mitch,
can you imagine
apologies.
McGregor?
82,000? It'd be unbelievable.
Gone like that.
Why don't you do? I don't understand. I know
That's as
McGregor's
mad as
that
that-
big that the American money, the casino money, and all that will want him in America. But for me, get in Ireland, McGregor, big stadium. The UFC for me is they're sleeping on Britain, UK, and the UK
Yeah.
and Ireland.
We get
It's
one
like
card a
we're
year.
back
I mean, we're lucky
They
we've
get a
got
shit fucking card.
two cards on British
Well,
Isles.
sick of it.
I did hear a
This year.
comeback for UFC London, apparently, according to the Fight Disciples. You ready?
What?
The Outlaw. Apparently, they're looking at him.
He followed me this weekend.
The Outlaw.
He followed
He,
me.
he followed
The
me.
Outlaw
To
could
fair,
well
Mitch,
be
He
back.
follows everyone. He followed me like 4 years
Why don't
ago.
you follow me, Dan Hardy? I'm
Just
living it.
doesn't like
My
it.
biggest follower is Tyson Fury, and then second biggest, Russell Grant.
Yeah.
The king of Panto follows me on Twitter.
Yeah, I think-
That's fantastic. Boom.
Mine, I've got Ken Shamrock on mine.
You got Ken Shamrock. I mean,
Have you got
Russell
Ken
Grant didn't even
Shamrock?
follow me back. It wasn't like I followed Russell. Russell followed me. Russell just followed me out the blue. No real context. Cheers,
But
Russell.
no.
Russell's PA who's doing his social media.
Don't do that.
don't
Russell
break
Grant has
it.
followed me
Sorry to-
directly.
Sorry to,
But what was I going to
it.
say? Where was we at before we got dismantled about followers? What was you
No
gonna
idea,
say?
but we need to get
Felder and McGregor.
we need to get back onto Felder.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
I think-
to it. I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, I am. I think it's got a good card to it. Actually, it's not bad. Carolina
Felder.
Kalvakevich is on the card, former strawweight challenger. You got Jim Crute, who seems another Aussie, who's pretty funny on the mic. Jim Crute versus Mikhail Oleksiuk.
Is it a
I think
fight?
it is.
Is it a fight night or is it an actual
Fight night. It's not.
Is
They don't.
UFC London a fight night as well?
Yeah, yeah.
UFC's London. Yeah, we'll get a watch
Not-
long as well for that. and
We
a
don't
tap
get
out.
pay-per-views until we get champion.
It's a fantastic fight though, Woodley Edwards. I'm
Oh,
really
yeah.
looking forward to it. Stylistically, it's a very interesting match.
One of the best fight cards we've had in a long while.
By the way, Felder Hooker. I think it's fantastic we've seen this burst of MMA in Oceania. I mean, recently we've got two champions in Alexander Volkanovski and Israel Adesanya, both dynamite. Robert Whittaker, one of my favourite fighters, he's still around. Mark Hunt was the flag bearer for such a long period of time, the Super Samoan, fantastic. There's just this burst
Yeah,
growing.
but I don't like it. I don't want the spot. Like I love Australia, but it's boring. I want the main fights from America, England. I want to get everything excited. I'm not fucking excited for Whittaker and someone else.
That's
or these
rude.
Whittaker,
Australians.
That's
Adesanya
rude.
in that
I'm
50
not, though.
Adesanya is probably
I'm not excited.
other than maybe Masvidal, one of the
Yeah,
hottest
but he's-
topics.
He's not Australian. Adesanya.
He's New Zealand.
New Zealand. He's from that Oceania aspect, and you got IMAS in Oceania this weekend.
I mean, at the Marvel Stadium,
Mokhayev's right there.
60,000 there for Whittaker.
No, don't get me
Adesanya.
wrong. They bring fights, but as being in England, the sexy fights is when you see an American or an English where you Chuck Liddell or when you see Bisping in the big fight, Conor McGregor. You
Nah,
want that? I'm not
that
bothered
isn't the
with
one.
the fights in Australia.
I get what what you mean. There's something special to a Vegas fight or an MSG fight.
An MSG fight.
But I don't
gets
mind them
things going.
occasionally mixing up. Like
But I
the
love
occasional one in
I love the
Australia.
stadium fights, like with Rousey. She fought
Holly Holm.
She fought Holm
I
in the
mean,
stadium.
don't get me wrong. The Australian fans are fucking amazing.
They sold
are
that out.
fanatic.
Is
But
it the
even Miocic was
biggest
a
crowd
stadium as well in
biggest
Brazil.
crowd in UFC history, I believe?
Yeah, I think
Well,
those
why-
three are the
Marvel
biggest.
Stadium.
Why are they getting stadium fights and we're getting fight nights? And Island's are getting fight nights. I don't understand Dana White.
Because
What
of the
are you
time
doing?
difference, isn't it?
And because
No, but
time
that
difference,
doesn't matter.
I think
That's why Bisping fought at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I
But why
think
can't we have a Wembley fight? Or why can't at
You
the
can't do
Tottenham-
we
Wembley at
don't
4
have the
in the morning.
star at the moment. We need a champion. I think if
Darren Till could do an Anfield.
Darren Till,
Darren-
Leon Edwards becomes a champion.
No, Darren
I
Till,
think we get that.
Till against Adesanya in
Anfield.
Wembley, Anfield. Could you imagine?
That would sell.
Listen, I'm a United fan, but could you fucking imagine Anfield with Till against?
It'd be
Adesanya?
absolutely incredible.
They're getting
Unbelievable.
quite the bromance, aren't they, at the moment? by
Yeah,
the
I
looks
don't
of it?
like it. I want them as so.
I love how
Till's
I love
the
how
most likable lad.
I love how
I
he
love Till.
he calls out everyone and then says, "Not Romero. He's scary."
mean,
That's
the thing is-
incredible. And his Instagram's one of the best Instagrams.
I know he was having a go at Donald Trump the other day. He sent Trump like a DM saying, "Look, Trump, I can't get my visa for the country." Obviously, he had this incident in Magaluf where he stole a taxi. So you like message Trump like, "Trump,
Help.
sort me out a visa, please, pal."
Yeah.
And then he sent another during Ariel Hawani show. Trump, this is urgent. Get me a visa, please.
Also 248.
Not many
Did he
men.
reply back?
I'm not. I doubt it. I mean, he's a Covington fan, isn't he, Trump? So
Let me tell you
He's more
something,
he's
he
more the
replies.
Twitter
Do you
guy
know
as well, isn't he?
UFC?
I think Till, though, with his honesty in regards to how much he mentally struggled after the Masvidal fight, that he was scared to get in the
He was scared to
octagon.
go out there,
Weight
weren't he?
is the weight cut for me.
So likeable. The fact that
I
he can
love
be
it.
so honest.
Warrior, I fucking
I
love
like
it.
Darren Till.
When he first came up, though, for me, like I love Till. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of his. But for me, he watched the blueprint of McGregor. Like McGregor watched the blueprint of Mayweather. Don't get it twisted. McGregor would have studied Mayweather, hence how he had this persona.
Worked well for him.
It has worked well for him, but he can pull it off. Till, you've got to realise, mate, he was saying, "I'm going to be the greatest. I'm going to be the..." Like, he still may be, but he was putting it out there.
Well, how quickly-
And he's not. And to be fair, he's not backed it up.
He almost
just by
had
the weight cuts.
He was
but
only
still.
close. He was that close. He almost had
love
the
him, though. I think
Adesanya
he's
rise, didn't he? Where he was taking on
but
Cerrone,
He fought
and then
Thompson and realistically lost the fight.
He was a
even though
close
he
fight.
got a
decision.
bit of the rubber green.
Woodley
And I think Thompson had already thought twice about it at that point, so they probably didn't want him winning.
Yeah.
you
And
know
I
what?
actually thought Thompson won the second fight against Woodley.
Do you know what I'm big on?
I remember the
And
first one. I think he
You're gonna-
he edged that one, didn't he?
I had Woodley winning the first, Thompson winning the second.
So you might think I'm stupid for this, but when I watch fighting, I don't just watch fights. Like I love everything. I love the music, I love the promotion. I look at every little minute detail. And it may sound stupid, but when Till was first coming out to Phil Collins in the air tonight, it was fucking cinematic.
I want him to go back to that.
I
rather than
love
Sweet
that.
He comes out-
Caroline.
is it Neil Diamond now?
No, he
Yeah,
came out
Neil
to Sweet
Diamond.
Caroline. I understand because it was in England and boxing has Sweet Caroline, and it was
It's
good.
just class.
But what I didn't fucking like was when he fought Woodley. That was your moment. You come out to your same music to
didn't-
what's got you there. He
he
came
was-
out to
Yeah, but
he came out to Sweet Caroline,
is he
and the American fans just bombed it. And I thought, mate, I actually said to myself, he's lost his fight there and then.
Yeah, but he
It may sound
wasn't
stupid.
ready for that. He got thrown straight
I
in
never
the deep
like
end,
it when
weren't
fighters change the
I
walkout.
don't like
music.
it. Look at McGregor. There's a reason that in the air tonight was his first title
Yeah,
fight.
when you
It
hear
was
that
his-
foggy
this
dew
is his
come on.
moment. Fucking, it's cinematic. It gets you goosebumps. You know when you hear the gets me goosebumps now. Just fucking thinking about it. I love it. And for me, I said to myself, that's a fucking problem. And it may sound stupid, and I actually said to myself, he's lost this fight already.
Yeah, I remember Joseph Parker. He used to come out to Can't Be Touched Roy Jones, which is a class walkout.
Yeah.
Rob Whittaker used it again, and then for the big fights, he switched to In the Air Tonight. So for the Carlos Takam fight and the Andy Ruiz fight, it's two big fights. He switched to In the Air Tonight.
Doesn't
then
work.
went back to Can't Be Touched for Hughie Fury, Anthony Joshua, and then looked flat against Dylan White when he came out to AC/DC. So what are you
Yeah.
doing? I like your original walkout.
Yeah,
music.
do you
Stop
reckon?
changing it?
How much do you reckon that walkout plays a part? Do you reckon it's like 60,
To an
70%?
extent, I think staying calm in the moment is
And
fantastic.
a question I have: when fighters wear their headphones out, they still listen to that walkout song, or they listen to something
I
completely
think
different?
it's just for a
They
spot. I
listen
think
to
it's a
anything.
sponsor.
Sponsor.
Yeah, it's
I
just
reckon they
What would
probably.
you come out to, Mitch?
Yeah.
It depends on where I'd fight. If it was in the UK, I'd probably have someone from London, either like Crepton, Conan, Stormzy. That'd be quite cool.
Come out to Stormzy.
Yeah, we're from the same town. Why not?
Are you?
Yeah, from the
You ever
same
met
town.
Stormzy?
I was this close at Old Trafford once from meeting him. He did when he brought out his first album. He did a little sort of gig
Yes,
there.
because you've been to see Stormzy live, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I want to this year though.
You've seen Ed Sheeran,
But-
though. That
yes.
came up on a watch-along.
Yes, I
Getting some
have.
abuse
I
from some
have.
of the viewers for being a
But
huge
I
Ed
think if I
Sheeran
fought in
fan.
America, I'd probably have Eminem.
Galway Girls is ringtone.
No, let me tell
Hey,
you something.
I don't have the ringtone. It's on silent.
Stormzy, I'm a big Bugsy Malone Big Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, I think you have to
Shout
go
out
with,
Bugsy Malone.
with
Not
where you're from.
Stormzy. Bugsy Malone.
But
Managed to rap in
if I
Manchester.
thought in America, it'd be Eminem,
Are
probably.
you born from? Are you from?
I am born.
Born and bred in
Are you
Manchester.
born, bred in Manchester?
I was, yeah.
What would be your walkout then? What are you walking out to?
Oh, country music. Darius Rucker, Wagon Wheel.
You know what?
Fantastic song. That's what I'm going for.
Has anyone
what
ever just
country-
come out with no walkout music? Just come out dead silent?
Yeah, Mike Tyson used to do it. Mike Tyson used to come out
That's
with no
ballsy.
music. But I like, I love, for me, we'll talk about this, like, favourite walkout musics. I love Chuck Liddell, DMX, Where the Dogs Are. Fuck, that gets to, used to, have you ever heard DMX song, Where the Dogs Are? Listen to it. Chuck Liddell used to come out and it builds up. It's like, do-do, do-do. And Liddell used to come out and it gives you fucking goosebumps, mate. One of the best walkout musics. I actually like, funnily enough, when Mendes fought McGregor, Aaron Lewis sung him out. Chad Mendes, Sinead O'Connor, who's fucking weird, was gone, walked out McGregor, and I love that country vibe. Like it was good because he's a countryman.
Yeah.
Like, it get for me.
There's something special about that Irish.
There's something.
that
Yeah,
Irish
Dana White said. I
walkout.
remember Dana White said years
Gives you-
ago.
There's that in Boston as well, wasn't it?
Who? No, who?
Where Mendes McGregor
No,
was
it was in
Boston.
America. It was in Boston.
That is
The
America.
Boston. Right.
Sorry, it was in Vegas. It's not in Lincoln. It's in Vegas.
No.
It was in Vegas. It was a big fight. It was the interim
Yeah.
fight. It was in Vegas. So
189.
I remember Dana White saying, "You don't realise."
I know it's Dennis
music-
Seether in Boston, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah. So Dana White was saying you don't realise how much of an impact music has to a boxing. It creates creates the scene.
Yeah, look at to relay it back to boxing. Look what Eddie Hearn said. He's taken from that UFC model, getting the music involved,
Yeah,
getting the
get the
drinks
fun,
involved,
yeah.
getting it almost
Making
like a
it a
party
night
atmosphere,
out, making it
where it's
sexy.
not
Yeah, he has
40,
to jump around 7
where it's
Nation
not
Army, Sweet
40 year,
Caroline,
where it's not
religiously.
40-year-old
Sweet
men
Caroline.
sat down with their pint and their hot dog.
Going absolutely mental. But going back to walkout, Michael Bisping, Song 2 were class. I used to love
Yeah,
when
Dan Hardy's one as well.
when DC and Stipe fought each other, that were class because they had two of the best walkouts like back to back, right
Cur-
above it. And
Curtis
then,
Blades comes out to Mortal
Till I
Kombat.
Die.
Curtis Blades came out to Mortal Kombat. That was pretty good.
I like Chael Sonnen's Too Much Fun, just a standard country song. Fantastic.
I like the ones that, for me, and a lot of fighters, for me, miss a trick here. I don't know who advises them sometimes. For me, it's essential to stick to a music.
Yeah,
Cal
agreed.
Brooks, All of the Lights.
That's fantastic. George Groves, Spitfire, the Prodigy.
Yeah,
I've
fucking
seen that
love
live,
that.
right? And he walks to the ring at such a
Yeah.
ferocious pace.
Yeah.
I was sat there thinking, he's going to walk at me here.
yeah.
What is it with Brazilian fighters and Love and Rihanna as well?
Rihanna's quite... Run This Town by Rihanna's good.
It's
Billy
been a-
Joe uses it sometimes.
It's been
There's a couple.
overkilled, but I like when McGregor, when that music comes on and the camera comes
Notorious.
to him. No, Foggy
Yeah,
Jew.
Foggy Jew, then it
Yeah, it goes
mixes
to,
in, don't it?
I
Just
fucking
incredible.
get the goosebumps, mate. And I think it's such a big thing to come out to a music, to a proper song that's going to get the fucking fans going. And I don't see a lot of fighters that have different songs here, different songs there. Some of them are fucking shit, to be honest with you.
Tyson Fury are going to have a little talk with Jesus. That's fantastic. I love that one.
I love, you know what I fucking loved? When Derek Chisora fought David Hay.
He used to come out to Coldplay, Derek Chisora, didn't
Yeah,
he?
but he came out. No, now he comes out to the Eagles. What's that song?
Hotel California.
Yeah, that's it. Well done, mate. I love that. But I loved it when he fought.
yeah.
When Derek Chisora fought David Hay, I think it was at West Hat.
It was at Upton Park.
Was that
You know
Upton
what?
Park?
Uriah
And-
Faber has a pretty cool one, California Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. But let me
That's-
just go back
that's
to Chisora came out. It was like the Gladiator theme. And it was raining, and like 40,000 fans are going, man, oh, got me fucking pumped. Yeah, Californian Kid is a classic with Uriah Faber.
Gillian White's is very good. He has the Jaws theme and
It's
then
AC/DC,
back
doesn't
in
he?
black, yeah. But seeing that, I was there live when he fought Lucas Brown, which was a harrowing knockout, and I really like Lucas Brown as well. So
left
it was
hooks,
sad to
it
see
does.
a very shot version of Lucas Brown compared to the one who fought Shaggy. But regardless, it's so loud that Jaws. I was intimidated. I'm in the crowd, so God knows how Lucas felt. Bless him.
It was, yeah, so, right, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Get
Can,
your
go on.
prediction for Paul Felder, Dan Hooker.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so Tyson Fury at Wilder Fury, and then in the UFC, I'm going to say I like both of them. I'm going to say Dan Hooker wins the fight.
Decision. I think a Dan Hooker decision.
Dan Hooker decision.
Dan Hooker decision.
Be interesting to see how he does over 5 rounds. I don't think he's gone that distance before.
What do
In
you
fact,
think?
these two are going to brutalise
I
each
don't know,
other, so
I
it could
like-
well be a knockout.
There's a romanticism in terms of Dan Hooker being in New Zealand, where
Yeah.
it's and Paul Felder. I don't think he's on the tail end of his career. He's got, he's got a tough chin on him. He's got some tough. He's a tough guy in general, and it'd be interesting. I think it's going to go back and forth. I don't think it's going to be a clean swipe for either one of them. But I just want to edge to Dan Hooker. I think there's something special going on at City Kickboxing, and we've got Volkanovski champion from there. We've got Stylebender champion from there. I think it's just something special about that camp
So
at the moment.
going,
Dan Hooker.
you're going Hooker. I'm going Felder. Close decision. And everyone put like and comments about your favourite walkout song, Fury and Wilder. Do we really care about Felder and Hooker?
We do.
I'll watch it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It will be a good fight, actually.
That's our prelim to Tyson Fury Wilder.
Correct.
That's our build up. That's
the
what we get
build-up.
to.
It's because I can't be bothered watching Gerald Washington versus Charles Martin, so I'll watch Felder versus Hooker.
So, yeah, looking forward to it. So, please hit like, subscribe, comment, everything. We're looking forward to a great weekend of action.